Life hack. If you ever want to get off work early, let's just say if you're heavily intoxicated, they have to send you home. Forever young, I wanna be, is what some people say. For me personally, I kinda see the beauty in getting old and dying. Every day I'm awake is another painful reminder of existence. Plus, also when I'm dead, child support doesn't matter anymore. 16 kids can't claim anything from beyond the grave. But honestly, that could just be my poor man's mindset. You see, I've noticed something about the ultra rich that I don't think anybody else has. When you have a lot of money, you tend to become an extreme weirdo. I don't know if this is born just out of pure boredom. I don't know if this is born just out of pure power. And I don't know if this is born just out of pure lust. But there's some sort of connection between having an extravagant lifestyle and being a fringe crazy person. Even when it comes to your base level billionaires and millionaires. Let's not beat around the bush. Having a private jet and having a private yacht is morally irreprehensible.
And that's a fact, good sir.
I'm a Reddit communist. I know better than everybody else.
No, but it truthfully is. Having such a ludicrous amount of wealth that you can afford to blow it on such excess, instead of solving any real world problems involving other people, is downright satanic. Am I saying I would do any different with that amount of money? No, fuck them kids. But at least I'll be honest about me being a selfish, greedy person. But this leads me into the tagline of today's video. What do you start doing when every factor of your life has been taken care of? Think of it like a pyramid. You start at the bottom, your basic needs: food, warmth, shelter, and water. Then you hit the middle of the pyramid: social structure, assets, and wealth. Then you hit the tippy top of the pyramid: you need to eat babies. Anything after that, you're entering Xenu territory, where the only way you can seek salvation for your mortal soul is to go to a billionaire's private island. Or, in truth, you could do the opposite and invest all of your money in the technology to keep you young and living forever. Such as this fella, Brian Johnson. A fella who spends $2 million every single year to be 18 again. And from these pictures you're seeing before you, in my opinion, it's not working. A more accurate representation of how he looks is a Hills Have Eye character. It is literally like the character from American Psycho is wearing a skin suit over his face. Let me play you a clip so you can get a little bit of better context of this hinged crazy person.
My objective with Blueprint is to demonstrate aging escape velocity using the best science, trying to do all the appropriate interventions to neutralize my aging process. A few things have distinguished what I've done to date. As far as I know, I'm the only person that has publicly posted my data. So I'm not saying, here's my protocol and believe me. I'm saying, here's my protocol, here's all my data, and here's what I'm experimenting with next, and here's where I've made mistakes, and here's where I'm trying to fix it. It's really a stacked process of maybe 100 different things I do, because you have to think about the body in its entirety. How the heart ages is different than how the lungs age, and how the lungs age is different than how the brain ages. You have to really think about it from a holistic perspective. So it's the common things like diet and exercise, but it's also a much broader consideration. So I have a team of doctors that I work with, and we just go through this rigorous process of measurement, gold standard science, implementation, measurement, is produced near perfect health for me.
Translated, I don't want to die! Please! Please, I don't want to die! I'm not trying to sound horrible, but I don't imagine that this is a representation of peak health. And even if it is, I'd rather just personally pass away than look like an aging Calvin Klein model. Truthfully, there's nothing wrong with aging gracefully. In my mind, the only reason you want to be young again is so you can pump young. But how are you going to relate to the early 20-year-olds when you were born in 1977? The only way you can approach these women is by going on their level. At your ripe age of 45, you'll have to hover into a club, presumably on your hoofed haunches, as a result of the deal with the devil you made to stay eternally young, and trying to relate to the things that they care about. Could you just consider for a moment this face staring across from you in a club? Anybody who's willing to go home with something that looks like this deserves death. Like, if you told me this was a mugshot of some deranged woman killer, I'd believe you in a heartbeat. It's his face. It's too sunken in. It's too porcelain-like. It doesn't look like there's any soul behind those eyes. My instant perception of him is a villain from a B-class horror movie. Oh my god, Becky, I just met the cutest guy. He looks so perfect. I'm gonna go home with him. Who's the guy? Oh, he's just over there. Yeah, I'm not too sure that's a good idea. No, honestly, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. He's gonna take me back to his mansion. Yes, Becky, do not be fearful of the unknown. Wait, He's across the club. How did he just talk? He didn't even move his mouth. Yeah, he does that sometimes. Amongst Brian's many routines of exercise, medicine, and healthcare, as well as eating infants and suckling on the bone marrow of endangered species, another little neat trick that he's trying to do in order to keep his youthful and very sexy complexion is steal the blood of his literal child and his father through a process which I like to call Blood Boy. Don't ask me for the scientific name, I'm not a f***ing nerd. This process is basically taking the blood of a younger individual and infusing it with one's own. The idea behind it is to create healthy cells and allow your body to live longer. Brian is taking it a step further. By infusing his cells with his own genetic makeup, i.e. a younger version of himself, his son, and an older version of his own genetic makeup, i.e. his father, he's trying to do some science and shit which is too complicated for me to understand. The principle being to make him live longer, off the life force of his family. Another factor of this process is that he has to have intercourse with both his father and his son, as evidenced by these weirdly homoerotic photo shoots they did for the press of this. Now I could spend the next 10 minutes of this video speculating on how Brian is evil. From his odd mannerisms to his weird lifestyle to the fact that he has so much money that he does insane stuff like this. But the crazy thing is, I don't have to speculate with Brian. Brian is allegedly, according to his ex-girlfriend, just a bad dude. Because now listen to me, this is real. Brian left his girlfriend after finding out she had breast cancer, calling her a net negative. For you unfamiliar with the business world, a net negative is when you invest in something overall, and every factor of that investment is more damaging than it does good, meaning the product overall is bad. He allegedly said this about a woman with breast cancer. Alright, Taryn, his ex-fiance, sorry, correct myself. It's time for your annual review. So, last year you were up 40 points in the Given the Good Glock Glock division, but it seems you were down 20 because you were nagging the hell out of me. It's not looking good, this review, I'm telling you. Look, Brian, I know you're analytical, but just for a second, be a human being with me. We've been together for years, and I don't even feel comfortable telling you this. Brian, I have breast cancer. The ex-fiancé also alleges that Brian was very fond of using burner phones and or using the app Signal, which you can set messages to disappear shortly after reading. This man eats panda meat. I'm sorry, if that is true, this guy is up to something truly diabolical. Regardless if you want to say, oh, he just wants privacy in his relationship. You don't set messages to disappear unless you're up to something incredibly deranged. Now, unfortunately, as funny as it would be that he is this comically evil, calling a woman with breast cancer a net negative and using burner phones to communicate with her, as of right now, there's been literally zero evidence presented. And all of this information that is coming out is coupled with a lawsuit. It is entirely possible that he is being scorned by an ex, as she also claims that she's owed millions of dollars off Brian for quote-unquote hurting her professional career, saying she was coerced by him to stop working. I smell a barge of bull across the river. Nobody forced you to stop working. That was a choice that you guys came together. Alright, let's not get it twisted on that. You can't act the victim because you decided to date a billionaire and the billionaire was like, oh, I'm just gonna pay your way for everything, you don't really need to work. That's your choice, mate. You could have still worked, you could have kept your own money, you could have got your own flat, but you wanted to live the lavish, cushy, creepy lifestyle. You wanted to go to fancy parties, like where everyone wears masks and you sacrifice a goat while you all scream Satan's name. You wanted to take expensive trips to isolated locations. You wanted to hunt down other humans for sport. I get it. Don't then turn around and point the finger and say he's evil because he spoiled you to all of these amazing things. Nobody told you to quit your job and shack up with a plastic Ken doll version of Dracula. A point I want to get across, I feel zero admiration for Brian and his efforts. This age reversal process isn't done for the benefit of anybody but himself. Brian, unfortunately, spent the majority of his life struggling and making money. And now that he's hit the ripe age of 45, he's terrified of going into a shallow grave where the only people who will mourn him is his incestuous son and his gay dad. I think he's a creepy weirdo, personally. And I think he has enough money to kill me if he wanted to for insulting him. Brian, I have to say, unlike you, I am not afraid of death. I'm just too scared to take it into my own hands. If you could do me the favor and end it for me, that'd be great. I truly feel me being born in the modern era is kind of the reason I'm so unhappy all of the time. If anybody was the embodiment of I was born in the wrong generation, it's me. I often think about how cool it would have been just to be around in 1 BC, straight up caveman vibes. All I would have to do is go around beating people with my club, as opposed to nowadays when I get really drunk and I beat people in the club. Point being from that, Brian, I'll leave my window open if you want to, get a sniper. With all of that being said, fellas and ladies, legally you have to subscribe to Deano. So I can live forever, but not actually be here. Just live on through my infamy and my amazing glow and sexy personality, which is what you'll get for subscribing as well. That's all I have to say on the matter, guys. Live for today. Don't be obsessed with living for tomorrow. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.